Hello boys and girls, welcome back to Measure Lesson 2. Your previous lesson you were focused on perimeter and you are about to learn a little bit more about area today. Perimeter, just dropped my iPad there, whoops. Perimeter, quickly recapping on what perimeter is, it is the boundary. It is the fence, as I like to remember it, around the 2D shape. The area is all the space within it, and we are going to learn how to calculate the space within it today. Now, you will see that I have drawn a square on my grid, and I've got 10 centimetres at one side. Now, for me, the thought of counting, although we can't even see the squares within the square shape, for me, the thought of having to count all of those squares would make my eyes cross and it's giving me a headache. So we need to think of a way in order to calculate all the space within the square without having to count all the squares within it, okay? So can you figure out how we could do that? How could we calculate all the space within the square without having to count each individual square? Can you go and have a wee think about that? I'm just wanting you to think about that now. Okay, boys and girls, so we can link it, if you've not already realised this, you can link it with times tables. Now, this always really brings me back. Do you know the Dean's materials that we used to use, the little squares, and you would get like the flat, you would get the rows, and then you would get the cubes, and then you would get the chunks, you know, the little slabs, the 10 rows of 10. So this reminds me of that. And to count how many squares would be within that, if you remember, we would times the length by the width. And we know that in a square, all the sides are the same. So we'd do 10 times 10. So if we did 10 times 10, all the space within here would be 100 square centimetres. Now, the units is really, really important, okay? Now, the best way to write this would be 100 centimetres squared. And the 2 indicates that it's 2 dimensions, length and width, okay? So that tells you it's the length and the width. What I want you to do is on the template that actually, that's going to be difficult because I am uploading a worksheet. Okay. You could actually send me a drawing of this. It doesn't need to be attached to this lesson. So you might want to add work, okay? If you click on the add work button and then you go on to drawing, you could set up your own grid for this task, okay? And you could just send it. So you are going, for task 1, you are going to sketch squares of different sizes. Now, you can use the shape button for this because sketching will be difficult. You are going to sketch squares of different sizes, and then I want you to work out the area of the same way. So remember, we times the length by the width to find out how many squares are inside the boundary of the 2D shape. Then you can send the work to me. Now, it won't be linked to that lesson because what you will need to do now is you will need to go and this might be tricky though. So please let me know if it is tricky, okay? You don't have squared paper at home as well, so that might be a little bit tricky. But if you can, come off of this, okay? Because you can always scroll back to the video or like open up open up in YouTube. So you can open up in another tab, Seesaw, then you just post work. It doesn't need to be linked to this lesson. And then you add drawing, and then you're going to practice sketching some squares of your own, any choice, any size. You don't need to go gigantic like Miss did. Oops, dropped my iPad again. You don't need to go gigantic like I have there. I just did that for so that it was clear. You can do them different sizes. You might want to do 7 centimetres squares. You might want to do, choose lots of different sizes. And then just write it in the middle, the area. So remember, you are going to, so you would be, it's the length times width, okay? So 10 times centimetres times 10 centimetres. That gave us 10 times 10 equals 100 centimetres squares, okay? But the proper way to write it, and I want you to write it in the middle of your shape, each shape is this way here, okay? And remember the 2, because that tells us it's been a 2-dimensional shape. Off you go and do that now, boys and girls. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. I am just trying to clear this for you. It's not the easiest, but hey ho, would rather a duster. Okay, so we've got a rectangle. We're going to do a rectangle. Now, because of the dynamics of my grid, you can't see a massive grid here. I'm going to get rid of the grid. I'm going to do it on a blank background, okay? And I'm just going to label it because the same idea, the same method would still work, okay? So, it's a rectangle now, okay? So, what would we do? How would we calculate all this area, okay? How would we calculate all this area? And remember, a rectangle does not have the lengths all the same and the widths all the same. They're 2 different sizes. So how would we calculate that? How would we calculate the area of this rectangle? Have a think. You might just be right. Okay, well done for thinking really well. So, boys and girls, you probably thought to yourself, well, actually, it's just the same. We do the same thing. We do 10 times 20. That's absolutely correct because there's 10 in the length times 20, and that will give us the answer for the area. So we're times in length by width, okay? 10 centimetres times 20 centimetres equals, and you should have got it, 200 square centimetres. Okay, but remember, we've learned that the correct way to write that is this way. Okay. Now, boys and girls, what I would like for you to do is to go and practice that. You're going to add work. This is task 2. You're going to have to go on to Seesaw again, and you're going to post work. Doesn't need to be linked to this lesson. You should be able to do it. Post your own work. You go to drawing. You're going to click on the grid, and then you're going to create your own rectangles this time, and you're going to calculate the length. I want you to label all, remember. So these are my labels here. I want you to label it all and then give me the answer in the middle. Can you do a few rectangles for that? And then send it to me, okay? Just add the work. Off you go. Okay, welcome back, boys and girls. What we're going to do now is we are going to... Actually, are we finished? I think we're finished for that now. Oh, no. No, I want to touch upon one last thing before I get you to do your worksheet, okay? Now, we looked at squares. We're going to quickly look at perimeter again, okay, and just touch upon it and give yourself a wee challenge, because perimeter, it's important to be able to go in between perimeter and area and forget so you don't forget exactly what each one is, okay, and you're quite clear that perimeter is the boundary and area is the space within it. So we are going to have a wee look at perimeter again. Okay, so this is a square, obviously. Well, I hope it is. And do you agree that if this was 10 centimetres, then all the other sides are 10 centimetres? Do we all agree with that? Yes. Well, you should, because a square is the same all the way round, okay? And to figure out, oh gosh, look at my writing. I'm going really fast because I don't want to bore you. 10 centimetres all the way around. So the perimeter of this would be 40 centimetres. We learned at the very first lesson that we could have just done 10 times 4 for squares, that would give that as that. Now, your last wee challenge here is I want you to see if you can think of 2 more shapes that the sides are all the same, okay? Only 2. They all have the same length. I want you to sketch them and I want you to show me you figuring out the perimeters. There's 2 more shapes that you can find out for sure. And then you can make up the perimeter of one side or show me how you would figure out the perimeter all the way around, okay? So what I need you to do, and you could probably do that in your jotters and upload a photo to me, or you might want to do what we've been doing before, add work and then send it in as a drawing piece to me. So what you need to do is you need to go and find 2 more shapes. Now, the shapes button might help you down here. I don't know. Or you might have to sketch it yourself. It's up to you, okay? 2 more shapes that are of the same side and show me how you would figure out the perimeter. Now, you can make up a random number for perimeter. I wouldn't go up bit over 10 centimetres though. So for here, I've made up 10 centimetres there, but you might want to make up for your shape 9, 8, whatever. So task 3, go and think of 2 more shapes that have the sides the same length. I want you to draw them and send it to me in a drawing post. Then I have attached a template. This is why you're having to go back and add work, boys and girls, as a drawing, because Miss is only allowed to upload a video, excuse me, and a template. Now, I've got a worksheet for you to do after this. I will go over the worksheet with you on the add response post. So this is all work that we've been doing together. You're going to send me in a post, and then your template I will mark also. Okay? Thank you. Bye.